Hello everybody, welcome back to CM42 TV. Let's just do a quick little chat about maybe the biggest day in British wrestling in years. Years and years and years. Not the band, I'm not a big fan of them. See, years and years. They seem right on my street and that's just not, I don't really like them. I'm trying to get the right light, I don't like the glare off my glasses. I'll take them off, how about that? So, apologies for the sort of randomness. I've just finished filming a video that I'm sure you'll see in the next few days. It was about half an hour long. I won't spoil it, but it's the start of a new series, so check that out in a couple of days' time. But this one, I just wanted to chat about maybe the biggest weekend, I suppose, in British wrestling in a long time. You know, it's easy to talk about wrestling these days, isn't it? Just because there's not really much to think about. You can just kind of turn on the camera and chat about it. But so, July 28th and 29th of 2018, it was such a big day for British wrestling, and I want to just the reason I want to talk about this is basically because, you know, I've been a wrestling fan for a long time, and I've been a UK wrestling fan for a long time. Now, I first went to a British wrestling show in September of 2008. It was an SWA show, and I had all the biggest names at the time: Lionheart, Dave Mastiff, Wolfgang. So basically, and Martin Stone was on the show, who's now Danny Burch in NXT. He's doing really well for himself as well. Totally thinned down. He looks great. But so anyway, so back then, you know, my mate Paul. By the way, Paul, everyone knows Paul. He shout out to everyone knows Paul. He kind of knows someone who knows Wolfgang. I don't really know the history. It's like a family friend who knows Wolfgang, who is now in NXT, which is cool. But so. The reason we were all there is to see Wolfgang, to see Barry, you know, wrestle. Come on, Barry. And he was the world champion at the time, and he ended up winning his match, the SWA title. And then Lionheart, who's a big name, one of the biggest names in British wrestling, he won a Money in the Bank ladder match earlier in the show, and then cashed in on Wolfgang. And I knew Lionheart as well because, you know, they were the two names you always heard. It was three. It was Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway, Lionheart and Wolfgang. This is back in like sort of 2008, 2007 sort of time. Liam Thompson was up there as well because they had this sort of iconic TLC match back in the time, around that time. Bad Boy Liam Thompson versus Lionheart versus Wolfgang. A triple threat TLC match. Highlights to that is still on YouTube, I think. And that was the only thing people knew about British wrestling back then. Because obviously, I don't even want to touch on the World of Sport days because that's not my time. I know about it and I've watched it and stuff like that. But can you imagine that now? You know what I mean? And it kind of is getting to that stage again, but where British wrestling was a household thing daily. You know, 5 o'clock on ITV, everybody was watching wrestling. Not to mention, it was the 80s, and then WWE comes on, and that's even bigger. What a transition wrestling has been in over the past 20, 30 years. But anyway, so the peak of British wrestling was back then, obviously, but then there was a time where British wrestling wasn't even a thing, and the people holding it up was Wolfgang, Lionheart, Liam Thompson, Drew McIntyre, those sort of guys. Dave Mastiff was really good, and Martin Stone, as I said. Those were kind of the main guys. They were on all the posters and stuff. You still see, I saw a poster the other day, to promote a Scottish wrestling show. Scottish Wrestling Entertainment was another company. It's a terrible company, but I went to a show there once, and the booker was this big guy, and he was the world champion, and of course he was, and he just put himself over on every match. He had screw-up finishes for every finish. It was like WCW. Funnily enough, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, yes, the Ted DiBiase, funded money, put money into that company for some reason. When there's all these brilliant British wrestling companies, and then the $1 Million Man wants to own it because it's based in Perth, and he has family in Perth. Totally bizarre. So we went there one time in Perth, and we met $1 Million Man, we met, who else was on the show? Chavo Guerrero was on the show, met him, great guy. He was tiny, I'm quite big, but still. Tatanka was on that show, and the biggest one, the main reason why I went, to be honest with you, Roddy Piper was on the show. And on the day of filming this, recording this, is the anniversary of Roddy Piper's death. That's kind of weird, so R.I.P. Roddy Piper. But anyway, that's not even what I'm talking about, but what I'm trying to get across here, I keep going on tangents because I'm so passionate about this stuff, but British wrestling was a massive thing in the 80s and the early 90s. Then it literally became, as Matt would say, obsolete. It became nothing. There was no such thing as British wrestling for years and years and years, apart from these guys, Lionheart, Wolfgang, Liam Thompson, Drew McIntyre, that sort of thing. When Drew McIntyre gets signed to WWE in 2007, it was a fucking massive thing here. Like, everybody was like WWE? Drew is going to WWE. And then they didn't use him properly, and they went to developmental, and they came back as the chosen one. We all thought, here it is again, and then he was away again, and now look at him. But Drew's a weird one. He's a special case. He's one of those ones like, you're the superstar sort of thing. You're the model of British wrestling. And then, you know, I'm kind of giving everybody a kind of catch up here, but something happened with British wrestling where it was just a resurgence. I don't know what that one thing was, but I'll tell you something. It was fucking Grado. Grado was one of those major components of that. People say that all the time. Grado made Scottish wrestling what it is today. And I don't totally agree with it, but I 80% agree with it, because he was a massive, massive difference he made into British and Scottish wrestling. And then ICW became a thing. I first attended an ICW show in 2010, and I just thought it was like another one of those sort of SWA shows. It was a really small building in the Maryhill Community Centre. I loved it personally, but it was really small. And as soon as we were going up the steps, I was maybe 14 at the time, 13 at the time, and we were going up the steps to go into the sort of into the ring area. I wasn't going to say arena, but into where the ring is. And the security guards, which funnily enough was I think it was Stevie Xavier at the time, now Stevie Boy, just lost the ICW World Title last night. Amazing how far he's come. The reaction to him last night was ridiculous. But so we were going up the stairs, and the guy's like, Stevie's like, to my dad, because my dad was there, because we're too young to go ourselves. My dad was there, and Stevie said to my dad, you understand ICW, you know, there's going to be some swearing and stuff. Are you okay with that? My dad's like, yeah, it's wrestling, whatever. You know, it's just something different. You know, if you watch a film with loads of swearing, that wasn't allowed, but wrestling was okay. And we just were blown. We just didn't understand what he meant by that, man. We were in ICW, Maryhill 2010. F-bombs left, right and centre. C-words. Oh my god, violence, barbed wire, blood, everything. And it was fucking brilliant at the time. But it was just, that was a sort of revolution at the time. They became this sort of cult following at the time. And then they started running nightclubs. And Mark Dallas, the booker, the promoter, just had this vision that he still has today. And I remember speaking to him back then. It's so funny how far it's come. I remember speaking to him in that wee room, and it just took off. He started running nightclubs, and we couldn't go anymore. I was so sad, because you had to be over 18 to obviously get into the nightclubs. And it's funny now, because he still runs those clubs and stuff in the garage and things like that. You never get ID'd. I suppose I don't look 18. I look a bit older, or maybe I do look 18. I don't know. I don't look younger than 18. Let's put it that way. But you don't get ID'd. I wonder if back then, if I tried to get in, I probably would have, but I didn't want to risk it. But that became this big resurgence, and now ICW is one of the biggest promotions in the world, and it's just this wee promotion that started in the Maryhill Community Centre. And then obviously the other companies tagged along. You get Progress, you get Smash Wrestling, you get these things. I think Smash Wrestling's in the UK, but I could be wrong, I think it is. Discovery, you got What Culture, you got Defiant now. You know, there's loads of companies, and then of course the other Scottish companies like BCW, PBW, SWA, they're still going. But it's just funny that it never took off like ICW did. So last night I was at Shug's House Party 5. I posted a video of Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was there, and he hit Jackie Polo over the head with a guitar. One of the most violent shots I've ever seen, I think. Ridiculous. The noise it made is ridiculous. And Jackie Polo right now, he's doing Just Justice. The sort of southern gimmick, which is fucking brilliant. Hell yeah. I got a shout out to all those Justice Warriors out there. Brilliant, man. I really appreciate when people try something a bit different, and that's what Jackie Polo is doing right now. But the point of this whole video, and I've not even spoke about it once, but it's fine because it's rambling and it's fine. However, July 28th, all at the same time, pretty much, we had World of Sport returning to ITV, to council television in the UK, seen by millions of people. I think the first episode was viewed by 1.2 million homes in the first episode. And if you count 2 people per household, ridiculous amount of people. World of Sport on, followed by, at the same time, WWE NXT UK taping their first shows at the same time. Also at the same time, in Glasgow, ICW run Shug's House Party. Like at the same time, ICW, WWE and World of Sport all happened at the same time within the same day. Like, British wrestling was nothing. And that's 3 major things. Obviously ICW is maybe just, it's another ICW show, but still, it's a double nighter, it's a weekender, there's titles on the line, there's drawing 800 to 1,000 people 2 nights in a row is a big deal. Any wrestling company, any independent wrestling company, it's a big deal. Then you got the World of Sport thing, you know, viewed by millions of people. Seeing Grado and Shaz Samuels and Rampage Brown and Joe Hendry, the boys on TV. And then you got WWE UK, which is another massive thing I haven't even spoke about yet. Like, the WWE has their own UK brand. It's just fucking bonkers, man. It's mental. It's a mental time to be a wrestling fan. It's a mental time to be a UK wrestling fan. And if you follow it at all, you understand where I'm coming from, because it's never happened before in our lifetime. Will it happen again? I don't know. Big congratulations to the boys, to the gang, to the rosters on all promotions, all companies, ITV, WWE, ICW, anywhere. If you're working in British wrestling, we thank you. Congratulations, and keep it up, because it is just such a nice thing to see. It fills my heart with so much joy and pride, and I can't wait to see where the future lies for British wrestling. Thanks for watching, and you can get the podcast on iTunes. Subscribe for more here on CM42 TV. Cheers.